Clinton plans to build a new water tower in the next year, and plans are moving along quicker than anticipated. City Administrator Taylor Baxter indicates the city will be utilizing EPA loans to help pay for two projects, one at the city's water plant, the other for the new water tower site. Additionally, they plan to use short of $1 million to pay for the water plant work.
So the ARPA funding we're utilizing right now, these two projects, the Lime system and the CO2 system, we are currently in the works of signing contracts and getting those things updated as we speak. So that's getting spent. I believe we had a 2025 deadline to spend that.
Okay.
So that's getting spent as we speak, getting worked on. And then as far as the water tower project, the Quincy Street, Maine, all of that. We are currently working on updating our prices and figuring out what to even go to the EPA for, because if we don't know that, we can't just go in there, hey, we need $10 million without a plan. We're working on that with our engineers, and then based on their feedback that they've gotten from the EPA, potentially the water tower project could be July 2025 construction. So quicker than even we thought. Honestly, I thought this was going to be a 2026 project, but this seems to be moving a little bit quicker than we even imagined. So it's good news.
According to Baxter, there are a couple of different locations the city could turn to for the site of the new water tower. He explains they are currently working through where would be the best location for it.
Yeah, we've got a preliminary site, and we're kind of trying to figure out if that is going to be the site. There's a location, whether it be directly west, where there's some open land there. We also own the property where I believe it was Dr. Carley's office. I think he was on the corner there.
Dr. Allen.
Dr. Allen, yeah, sorry. There's a couple different sites, and we're trying to figure out which way would be the best way to go, so we don't really for sure 100%. That's one of the things we're kind of tweaking to get ready to submit for.
Yeah.
Is in order to shoot all that water up there, there's got to be, again, this is way above my head, and I don't know how. There's a lot of underground infrastructure that needs to be considered. Every single inch of pipe, it's going to be this amount of money, so we definitely got to be careful on where we're spending our money.
Last week on regional radio, Baxter indicated the architects of the project recommended separating the projects, which they felt would give them access to more loan forgiveness opportunities. He indicates they need to keep in mind timing on the EPA side of the project so they can access those dollars, which is moving the project along at a good pace to this point. A couple of weeks ago on regional radio, we highlighted the increasing occurrences of stalking in domestic abuse situations. Andrea Coker is the executive director of Willow Tree Missions in Piatt County and explains stalking can have short and long-term impacts on the victim. She notes short-term behavior changes include isolating themselves so friends and family do not get stalked, or changing jobs and routes they take every day.
Oftentimes people who are victims of stalking are just naturally feel isolated. Part of the reason that happens is because we see a pattern of behavior changes with victims, and all of them make sense on why they do it ultimately is to avoid being stalked. But what we see often is that people start to withdraw from social activities. That can be for a number of reasons. It can be self-esteem related, in general, exhaustion from constantly dealing with the feeling of having to look over their shoulder. But a lot of times it's also because they don't want to put their friends and family in the position to also be stalked. So they'll just withdraw so they can deal with it on their own instead of subjecting others to the same behaviors. We also see people make major changes to their routines. It can include as much as even getting new jobs with different schedules so that their stalker doesn't know where and when to find them. It can be as small as changing the direction they drive to work and where they park and things like that. But a lot of times it's major, if it goes on long enough, it is major life changes that are taking place for the victim just trying to avoid being abused. They will oftentimes avoid being completely alone if they're outside their own home. So a lot of times if they don't have a buddy, if you will, to go somewhere with them, they'll just avoid leaving so that they don't have to be alone.
According to Coker, roughly 13 million individuals are victims of stalking, and roughly 1 in 3 women are victims of a stalker. She indicates you're most likely to be stalked between the ages of 18 and 24.
Yeah, data's funny. It's an estimated 13 million people are stalked or victims of stalking in the U.S. every year. About 1 in 3 women, 1 in 6 men. And of course, you're most likely to be a victim if you're between the ages of 18 to 24. There's a lot of reasons for that. Maturity, accessibility, kind of like the developing that line of responsibility for both the stalker and the individual being stalked, oversharing, starting lives together, things like that. The problem with stalking is that there is absolutely no way to know how often it's really happening, for one, and for two, it is incredibly unreported or underreported.
Coker is not only seeing an increase in cases of stalking lately, but she's also noticing victims downplaying their situation, and she hopes to raise awareness that those behaviors are not normal nor acceptable.
So part of the reason I wanted to talk about stalking today is I have seen a pretty drastic increase in the number of people who are victims of stalking. In my case, it typically is abusers. That's why they've called me, even though I'll help anybody with the topic. But it's been really downplayed. I've noticed that victims are really minimizing their stalking because they're so used to it that they don't really see it as a big deal anymore, or they've just come to accept it as part of their relationship, and the relationship might be so bad in other areas that they don't think the stalking is really a piece. So while data is really important, it isn't the big picture, especially with stalking. And like I said, a lot of it's because of minimization. They don't think it's a big deal, don't want it to be a big deal. Another big thing I've seen is that people are not realizing they are the victim of stalking. It's like what I'm seeing is people are telling me like, oh yeah, he shows up everywhere I am and it's really annoying, but I think it's just an accident. Whenever a stalker shows up in the same place that you are 30 times in a week, it isn't by chance. But sometimes we have to tell ourselves whatever we have to get through the day. So minimization is huge.
Yeah.
And another reason is people are shameful. They're embarrassed. They don't want to get law enforcement or the court system involved in their life. And then also people truly believe there are bigger things that law enforcement and the court system need to be dealing with. I'm not going to bother them with the fact that someone's stalking me. It truly is so dangerous and needs to be reported.
Stalking and harassment can sometimes be hard to differentiate, but Coker says stalking has 4 telltale signs that cross over from harassment to stalking.
Essentially, stalking falls under 4 categories. Harassment can be these 2, but it'll be noticeable what the differences are if they go to the extreme. So a big one is people being under surveillance. So if someone is watching you, tracking you, or just generally gathering information about you. Again, if someone's just following you on social media a little bit, well, problemsome, probably harassment. If someone is sitting outside your home, showing up where you are, following you whenever you drive places, it's absolutely crossed the line into stalking. There's also life invasion, which is what we just spoke of, which means that they're showing up where you're at. If you are at the grocery store and you get to the other side of the grocery store and someone you think is harassing you has a cart full of groceries, it's weird that you're in the same spot at the same time. That happens maybe once or twice, and it's like, it causes you pause. This shit is happening when you're at the grocery store, the gas station, school, extracurricular activities, when you've gone out with your friends for the weekend, you're at the movies. This is not coincidental or accidental. This is intentional stalking, intentionally causing you to wonder if they're going to be here too and cause you fear. There's also interference, which is attacking you with words or your property. This includes sabotaging you, calling your work, just trying to destroy your reputation, ultimately making the victim's life challenging and worse intentionally.
Coker hopes if you suspect you may be a victim of a stalker, contact Willow Tree Missions to receive help and talk through your situation. You can find out more about Willow Tree Missions by finding them on Facebook or visit willowtreemissions.org. News time is 18 minutes after 8 o'clock here on this Monday. We stream this morning to Facebook and YouTube. It's brought to you by Peterson Insurance, your Pekin Insurance agent in Clinton. A look at local sports comes your way next here this morning. Over the weekend, several high school sports events postponed due to the cold weather. But a round-robin baseball tournament got played in Monticello on Saturday. A recap of a couple of those games come your way next in sports. It is the WHOW Morning Show.
The Bible says in John 11:25-26, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies. And whoever lives by believing in me will never die. We can still have a relationship with Jesus today. Just believe in him. Remember that this Easter season.
Join us 9 a.m. Easter Sunday at the Clinton United Methodist Church. More details, clintonumcil.org. UMC is a great place to be.
Allergy season is here, and our Warner Hospital and Health Services walk-in clinic inside our family medicine is here to help. No appointment, no problem. Find out more by clicking our icon at DeWittDailyNews.com.
For the latest in Central Illinois agricultural news, visit IllinoisFarmRadio.com. Get updated information on markets, weather, ag news, local interviews with NAFB farm broadcaster Jared White, and much, much more. All at IllinoisFarmRadio.com.
Do you know what to do when a car is pulled over on the side of the road?
Get over!
First, reduce your speed. Second, change lanes if possible. Third, proceed with caution. These 3 simple steps can be the difference between life and death.
What if it's you that's on the side of the road? Do you want everybody to move over for you?
Do the right thing. Slow down, move over, and drive like your life and their life depends on it.
Chip Flory here, the host of AgriTalk, the nation's longest-running agriculture talk show. I'm here to remind our listeners on Central Illinois' agriculture station, WHOW, that you can hear our show weekday mornings from 10 to 11 on WHOW's many platforms. On the Big 1520 across Central Illinois, 92.3 FM in DeWitt County, and now on 106.5 FM in Logan County, and on the WHOW app. AgriTalk on WHOW.
With SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra, taking care of business in Memphis. David Schuster explains.
Clemson and Houston, the 2 winners in Memphis on Sunday. Clemson, a number 6 seed, defeated Baylor 72-64. The Tigers, watching a 15-point lead evaporate down to 2, but pulled it out in the end. Clemson next will face number 2 seed Arizona in the West. As for number 1 Houston, they survived an incredible comeback from Texas A&M to win 195 in overtime. Next up for Houston is Duke in the South region.
Next up, the Yukon Huskies beat Northwestern 75-58. San Diego State in a romp over Yale 85-57. Alabama used a late surge to beat Grand Canyon 72-61. Purdue in a rout over Utah State 106-67. Duke 93-55, bashing of James Madison, and Marquette beat Colorado 81-77. Games start on Thursday. This is SRN Sports. NBA Finals, Pelicans beat the Pistons. It was the Clippers losing to the Sixers. Heat down the Cavaliers. The Bucks beat the Thunder. Warriors lose to the Timberwolves, and the Lakers slow down the Pacers. On the ice in the NHL, the Caps beat the Jets. Avalanche over the Penguins in overtime. Lightning in Anaheim. The Ducks in overtime. Lightning win that one. Devils shut out the Isles. Panthers beat the Flyers. Oilers fall to the Senators. Hurricanes beat the Leafs. Stars beat the Coyotes. Sabres take care of the Flames, and the Canadiens beat the Kraken. The United States shut out Mexico 2-0 for its 3rd straight CONCACAF Nations League title. And Shohei Ohtani plans to speak to the media today for the first time since the illegal gambling and theft allegation involving his interpreter emerged during the team's trip to South Korea. And with SRN Sports, I'm Ron DeRockstra.
Time now for a look at sports. I'm Seth Lawrence with this report. Monticello picked up a pair of good victories on Saturday with a 4-1 win over New Berlin and a 2-1 win over Route Catholic in round-robin baseball action from Monticello High School on Saturday. Hayden Romano allowed an unearned run in 5 innings of work in the opener. The sophomore allowed just a hit in the opener. Carter Foran, he walked 2 and struck out 4. Raiden Colbert drove in 2. Carter Foran finished 2 for 3 with an RBI and a stolen base. Matt Swartz stole a base for Monticello as well, who mustered just 4 hits but took advantage of 4 Pretzels turnovers. In the second game, Coy Williams struck out 8 in 6 innings of 1-run ball as the Sages topped one of 1A's top teams, Route Catholic, 2-1. Williams allowed 6 hits and a walk. The junior drove in a run, finishing 1 for 3 at the plate. Foreign again finished 1 for 3 with an RBI. Jacob Long was 1 for 2 with a double. Luke Teschke and Swartz stole bases for Monticello's offense in the second game. The Sages go to 10-0 on the season and will host Lincoln this afternoon. Hear the action on 95.9 FM WEZC and online at DeWittDailyNews.com. First pitch is set for 4:30. Terrence Shannon Jr. scored 30 points. Marcus Damask added 22, and Illinois made fast work of its 11th-seeded opponent from the Atlantic 10 in the third-seeded Illini's 89-63 victory over Duquesne Saturday night. Illinois had not made it through the first weekend of the tournament in 8 previous appearances. Illinois and Iowa State will play in the NCAA tournament for the first time. Illinois has won 9 of the last 12 meetings, but lost the last 2 in 2018 and 2015. Jizzle James had 25 points in Cincinnati's 74-57 win over Bradley Saturday in the second round of the NIT. Dan Skillings Jr. had 20 points and 5 rebounds. Simus Lukosius had 17 for the Bearcats, who go to 20 and 14 overall. Malevi Leons led the way for the Braves with 16 points and 6 rebounds. Connor Hickman added 14 points. Cincinnati took the lead with 18:36 left in the first half and never gave it back. James led their team in scoring with 14 in the first half to help the Bearcats go up 36-28 at the break. Cincinnati plays the winner of Sunday's Indiana State's and Minnesota NIT matchup. William Byron started from the pole and delivered a dominant performance in the NASCAR's first road course race of the season. The Hendrick Motorsports driver led 42 of 68 laps and built the big lead he needed to hold off a hard-charging run from Joe Gibbs Racing's Christopher Bell over the final 2 laps. Bell shaved nearly 3 seconds off Byron's lead to create some late drama before Byron slammed the door over the final corners. Byron led 23 of the first laps of the first 2 stages, but found himself quickly dropped to 3rd at the start of the final stage as Ross Chastain, who won at COTA in 2022, jumped to the front. Byron fought back to pass him with 25 laps to go, and both cars pitted on the same lap. Chastain then got hung in traffic on the re-entry and fell several cars back. That gave Byron the chance to open the gap he needed to keep Bell behind him at the end. Ty Gibbs, the 21-year-old grandson of team owner Joe Gibbs, finished 3rd after getting passed by Bell with 3 laps to go. The series moves to short track racing next Sunday at Richmond Raceway in Virginia. Get sports anytime from your computer or mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com.